I'm not going to bore you with the details of my life story. The day that I died started as any other. I got up for work, showered, dressed, and took off on my bike to work. It was 1987. I was 23 and ready to conquer the world at my mediocre job. This day didn't feel any different, other than it was hotter than normal as I made my way to my job. A car that I had been trying to pass suddenly swerved into my lane. The force of the impact set me flying, the bike on top of me as I slid down the road 25 feet before coming to a stop. I am unsure of when it happened, but I could see myself looking at my body. Looking around, I could see everything. What caught my eye was the bike was still on me where my leg should have been. I later found out that the car had ripped my leg off at the knee, and the bike laying on top of that area stopped me from bleeding out. As I continued to look at my body and monitor the situation, I could feel a tugging sensation. You know the sensation of a child tugging on your shirt sleeve? That is what it felt like, except it was coming from my belly button area. Not knowing what it was, I started panicking and trying to fight the pulling sensation. It was then that I heard it. Do not fight. Be still. Relax. I don't know why, but after I heard that, I relaxed and let whatever was pulling me continue to do so. I continued to look around and monitor what was going on. I noticed that I was going through what appeared to be a dark tunnel with a tiny white speck at the end. It felt like I was being threaded through the head of a needle. I could hear some scratching and other unsettling sounds coming from within the tunnel, but I didn't feel any sort of fear. I did wonder to myself quite a bit why it sounded like a cat was scratching a couch and people were yelling an agonizing scream, but again, no fear. When I finally made it through, I found myself in the most colorful place. I had been high before, and the colors that the high gave me could not compare to this beautiful place. The skies are so blue that thinking about them right now brings tears to my eyes. Grass that never died or turned brown, softness you could lie down in and just fall asleep. Water so pristine that just thinking of drinking from it filled you up. What blew my mind, though, was all of the souls that I saw. Everyone seemed so happy. As I began to walk around and explore my new surrounding, I say walk, but I was technically floating. I remember thinking to myself, is this heaven? To my surprise, something answered back. Yes, David, this is heaven, and I have been expecting you. I could not see who the voice belonged, but it felt as if it was coming from right beside me. The voice was kind, sort of like when your mom sings you a lullaby. What do you mean you were expecting me? I thought. The voice told me that my time was up and that I could stay or I could go back to my body and live. But because I was expected, I didn't have to go back. Why can't I see you? I asked. The voice told me the reason why I could not see it is because my eyes were not open. As I opened my spiritual eyes, I began to see things a lot clearer. The colors that I spoke about earlier seemed to pop a whole lot more. I was finally able to see who was speaking with me. It was a younger man with a beard. I wouldn't say it was messy or unkempt, olive-colored skin and the brownest eyes that I had ever seen. Looking at this man's distinct features, I couldn't help but look at what he was wearing. He had the cleanest robe on, and his hands and feet bore scars. I need to stop here and point out that I was not religious. I didn't believe in Jesus, God, or any of that mumbo-jumbo. Yet, here I was standing with the Christian Jesus. David, you must decide whether you want to stay here in heaven or return to your body. I immediately thought about my mom, my dad, my brothers, and my wife who was pregnant with our son. As much as I love it up here, and I do, I must go back. I can't leave my loved ones, not yet, are you sure? Even though that body is going to suffer for the remainder of its days, I'm sure. What I am about to show you is what you can expect to happen if you decide to go back. War, famine, death, heartbreak, you will experience all of this. I'm prepared for all of that, Lord. Little did I know just how unprepared I truly was. Jesus grabbed my hand, and as soon as he did, images started flooding into my head at 1,000,000 miles per second. I was shown the date that my mom would die and the day my dad would die. My mom was to die 13 years to the day of my accident. The year 2000 would be a heartbreaking year. My dad was to die in 2001, just after the new year. Then in 2014, our son would die of an overdose. In 2020, We would lose our daughter in a car accident, and I was shown that my wife would lose her battle with cancer. Though this was bad, this wasn't the worst of what I was shown. I was shown a world where brother turned against brother, ally against ally, nation against nation. I was shown a world population that exploded to 10 billion, only to be cut down to under 1 billion during the last Great War. He released my hand and asked me once again if I still wanted to go back, knowing everything that he just showed me was going to happen. After taking a moment to gather myself, I asked what would happen if I stayed. He once again grabbed my hand, and new images flooded my mind. I was shown that without him in my life, my son would have gotten into gang life and died a much more horrendous death. My daughter would have never been born. My wife would have married a man that abused her. My mom, during her grief of losing me, would have taken her own life, which would have led to my dad making a mistake that cost other people their lives. Jesus released my hand for a second time and once again asked the question. We all know the answer I picked, as I am here now writing my experience. Originally, I planned to come back for selfish reasons, but after seeing everything that I did, I came back for what I believe were the right reasons. I got to spend 26 years with my son, watching him learn to walk, grow up, fall in love, and have kids of his own. I got to spend 30 years with a daughter that wouldn't have been born otherwise, and my wife and I spent 36 years together. Even though I knew the cancer was going to take her, I continued to put on my brave act. My wife died in February of this year. 2 months after my wife's death, I joined a local IANS chapter and shared my experience. I know that the parts about the last Great War scared a lot of the members. Tim, one of the members, pointed me to the video of another person who was shown World War III. It is through that video that I found your channel. Unlike James, I did not see who it was that started the war, but I did see the devastation that occurred after the first nuclear bombs were dropped. A lot of people are wondering why it took me so long to share these visions and why I waited 30 years to tell them to people. The simplest answer is that I was scared. I didn't want people to think that I was a nutcase. I didn't even bother to tell my wife or kids. After my mom died in 2000 and my dad in 2001, I passed it off as mere coincidence. Then my son died in 2014, and it began to dawn on me that what I had seen was the truth. To be frank, as I told the members of my IANS chapter, what I have told them isn't meant to scare them. It is to prepare them. I do not believe that Jesus lied when he showed me everything that happened. I also do not believe that the last Great War can be stopped. Those who are listening to this, you can believe me if you want, or you don't have to. I am almost 60 years old. I have nothing to gain or lose by telling this. To answer any lingering questions about the accident, yes, I lost my leg during the accident. The person who hit me, an older gentleman, had a stroke while driving. Sadly, he passed away during the accident. The accident itself made me see just how short life was. I became a born-again Christian and went on to preach the love of God to anyone who would listen. I do sometimes wish that I had told people what I was shown sooner. I wish that I had at least told my wife and children what I saw. I have taken up enough of your time. If your viewers take one thing from this, and that one thing is that there is nothing to be afraid of, God is with us always. Even if there is no way to stop what is coming, he will never abandon us. Note from Heaven Glimpse. I truly do not know what to say. I want to offer my condolences to you for the loss of your wife and your children. No father should ever have to know when his children and wife are going to be taken. I am truthfully not sure whether to classify that as Jesus being cruel for showing you that or what. I want to also say that I am glad that you decided to share your story, even if the next World War cannot be stopped. It helps people know that it is coming. What piqued my interest was you saying that Jesus told you that he had been expecting you. I have read and narrated countless NDE and have never seen one say that. I believe that this alone makes yours a bit more special. David, I hope that you stick around and post in the comment section. Thank you again for allowing me to narrate your story. That does it for David's experience. Do you guys believe him when he says that what he saw can't be stopped? Do you think that Jesus showed him the death dates of his family as a way to force him to stay? Did you all catch wherever he said that Jesus told him that he had been expecting him? Let me know what you thought in the comment section below. Remember, guys, it's okay to disagree. Just do so respectfully.